And we're back. Hey, everybody, if it's your first time watching the Pocket Party podcast,
Pocket Party.
I'm your host, Darren Carter, the party starter. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Please remember, and I always forget to say this, like and subscribe. So subscribe and definitely hit that like button. It's very easy to do. All right, guys, here he is. I'm so happy to have him on the show. Thank you for being available. Thank you for saying yes. Please welcome back to the show, William Lee Martin.
Thank you, buddy. It's good to see you. It's so funny because you're like, I'm glad you made the time. Really? Yeah. Time is what I got. The only thing non-essential in my house are clocks.
Yeah, exactly. And calendars a little bit, right? A little bit.
You know, I had all my January canceled, but I start back on tour on February the 6th at a theater here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Dude, that's amazing. Isn't that cool? Like you like to do a theater, like, and you don't have to fly or drive too far. It's like right there.
And the cool thing, what's so funny is that this is a historic theater. So it was built in the 1920s during the vaudeville and the people that played the stage. But for the last 20 years, it's been empty. So it's no roof on it and bums living in it. And they've spent $50 million and to renovate this entire thing. It's down in the stockyards and everything else, right?
That's so cool.
But they have to stick with the original name for historic purposes. And the name of it was the ISIS Theater. So they still have to stick with the ISIS Theater.
In Fort Worth, Texas, of all places.
Yeah, and somebody is going to, say that this is all Biden's fault, that they have an ISIS theater now,
Yeah.
So, but I guess maybe that's why they booked me for the grand opening. They're like, well, a cowboy guy can play it. It's got to be okay.
Yeah. That's funny you say that because, I live in Burbank, and then when I drive to the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, there's an ISIS Boulevard, and it's right along the 405, and you see it, and it's like, oh, there's ISIS, ISIS, and
right.
What was that? Anytime you mention.
No, somebody's texting me, so it's coming through my thing. So I'm getting a ding and a ding. I got
nervous. I was like, was it ISIS? Was it Biden? What did you say the wrong buzzword?
We have been flagged and tagged.
Yeah. They're like, show's canceled. No, but man, that's interesting how a word how it changes over time. Like when I was a kid, I think there was a female superhero called ISIS.
Right.
On Saturday mornings.
The word snowflake is no longer, and people are sheep.
Yep.
Are we really reduced just to that? I mean,
I know there's certain words like you might just throw it in your act, and all of a sudden, whoa! If I say that, that means a whole new. You might not even intend for it to be like that.
No, but it is going to be kind of cool. I went from playing for the troops to playing for ISIS.
There you go. You got to use this stuff. You're like,
I got a resume now.
Yeah, man, that's great. I've been to the stockyards. Anytime I would do like the improv out there, but actually mainly when I would do hyenas, because there's the Fort Worth and hyenas, cool. and during the day I would I got to go to the stockyards, and I just think it's so beautiful just to walk around and.
Well, for those of you who don't know, in Fort Worth they have the stockyards area, and it's very historic. And they do, for the tourists, they do a cattle walk through there every stinking day, twice a day. And that way, folks like yourself who've never seen a cattle drive,
as
they walk them, one block. But the cool thing is that they're spending so much money down there, and it really is becoming, they're really trying to build it up like the River Walk in San Antonio. So they're putting tons of money into it, or at least they were before the whole shutdown of the world. But with this theater, they're going to show vintage Western movies during the day for, a lot of the old John Wayne, but the black and white stuff, so folks can go see the historical stuff. But they're going to put on plays there and music and acts and everything else. So it's a multi-purpose center, but it's beautiful. It's just
That's
beautiful.
cool. I mean, there's still a record store there. The last time I was there, like a little over a year ago, and I thought it was great. It's one of those places. Probably because I go there like once every 2 to 3 years, so it's still fun. I'm
Right.
sure if I lived there, I'd be like, okay, I'm over this. But
Right.
if you, like you said, if you're a tourist, go check it out. I mean, there's like the whole Western theme and the funny signs, the novelty signs, and they have all
Yeah,
those cool
yeah, and it's
stores. And
Fort Worth has always embraced that Western heritage, where Dallas is trying to be a Chicago, San Francisco,
yeah,
but Fort Worth really embraces that.
yeah, I went to Billy Bob's there. I remember the first time I went to Billy Bob's, I was blown away. I was like, wow, like just the whole. It's like, don't they call it like the biggest
It's the
saloon in the
largest,
world? Or
it's the largest honky tonk in the. It not only has a mechanical bull, but it actually has real bulls. So you can go watch real live bull riding every Friday and Saturday night. And the amazing thing is, they got shut down like everybody else because they were a bar, and they were one of the first ones that got classified as a restaurant,
Mm,
which is no way possible. There's nobody eating that food in there at that level, because you have to be eating
yeah,
51%. But that's where the money comes in.
yeah.
It's funny because I don't know if you're like me, but I got 3 or 4 people today send me stuff about, the pipeline, And I'm like, well, how about the comics and the singers and the
Hmm.
performers who've been out of work since March and
Yeah.
still having trouble to go back? So I understand the pipeline, but there
Right,
were
right.
23 million people put out of work a year ago.
It's so
So
weird, yeah, because even with entertainment and show business, something that was an important job, now they're just, let's say, I don't know why I thought of this. When you said like entertainers, I thought of like, what if there's like a tap dance instructor? Well, they haven't been able to work, or just anything that's like
yeah.
a seamstress for wardrobe. And it's, let alone like comedians. I mean, it's just,
Well,
but,
and look where the world has ended up. So, I always see those memes. We don't need actors. We don't need, we needed doctors. Yeah, but the world has been on fire for the last year, since we
yeah,
shut down. So maybe we do need a little pressure valve every once in
yeah.
a while to be let out. Some
Oh,
levity
yeah.
of it all. And I can honestly say that I feel like where late night television could have been the thing to help America bridge over that gap. Instead, all I felt like is they were feeding the fuel too. You couldn't even go watch, you can't even go sit down and watch, late night television without it just being a bash, 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 bash. Well, I can get that on CNN and Fox. Give
Right.
me a
You know,
joke. Give me
that's
something funny.
That's why I've been going to, my wife and I, we watched Barney Miller the other night. Barney Miller, man. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's good writing. It's funny, has an awesome theme song. I mean,
I did the
that's what
same
I'm saying.
thing with
Yeah.
I did the same thing with WKRP in Cincinnati. I
Yeah.
bought the box set. I couldn't find it anywhere. I found it in Walmart for like 38 bucks for the entire box set. And I had not laughed. So that's such a great cast, so well written,
So
and
great.
and what great characters they had in it.
Before we move on, I want to say, my memories, I love, going to, Billy Bob's. I bought like some live albums there, like Merle Haggard. I think I have Willie Nelson, David Allan Coe. Um, I had the coolest thing in the world for me. So I'm friends with a guy who played trombone in Toby Keith's band, and he lives in Dallas. Geika, shout out to Geika James, local musician in the Dallas area. And Geika goes, "Hey, Blake Shelton's performing at Billy Bob's. Let's see if we can go, see him." And so we went around. It was the concert had ended. We went around behind Billy Bob's, and we actually jumped over the fence. And we went straight to Blake's tour bus, and I got to hang out with Blake Shelton after paying good money to see him several times on his tour bus because he knew Geika, and it was awesome for me. I mean, that was a country music moment for me. This was like 10 years ago,
Well, people don't
probably.
realize that the whole Billy Bob's is actually, well, that part of it is actually an old department store. But before
Oh,
that, it was all part of the largest cattle influx coming straight down the Chisholm
wow.
Trail, from Kansas into there to ship out all this stuff. So there's still, cattle gates and everything else. So it's kind of, apparently hard to secure. So congratulations.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was cool. Like he signed a couple of autographs for my wife, and I think he misspelled her name on the first one, but I still took it, and then and then he gave me the real one. And then the guy, let me just tell you real quick how great he is. Funny comedian. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's a great. I almost call him a comedian, but funny performer, good songs. And when I met him, he was very humble and nice. And then I happened to know somebody who worked at the Jimmy Kimmel show, and when Blake performed there. I watched them rehearse, and he literally jumped off the stage, came out to the crowd, and said my name. He's like, Darren, came out and shook my hand, and I was like, wow, that guy's got a memory, like I thought that was cool,
How long ago was that?
Like that was probably around. I'm just gonna guess. I'm thinking it was before he was a host on The Voice, I think it is. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Something like that.
Yeah, because if you could get a hold of him, I've written a song now that I think is a Blake Shelton song. So
he was still with Miranda Lambert. Wait, what's the song?
Yeah, it's called Bank Fishing.
Oh yeah, thank you. You sent that to me. You sent that. You sent Bank Fishing and another one.
At the end of the day,
I believe so. That was. Let me ask you this. So, how did you get into? Congratulations on the new title. You're not only a comedian and a litany of other things, but you're now a music publisher.
No, I signed a publishing deal with a publisher in Nashville. So I'm a bona fide paid songwriter now. So and I don't write funny songs. And it's funny to be in comedy for 25 years, and I don't. Yeah. Well, I really don't write the funny songs, but I've always been writing. And the first song that I ever wrote that got published was a song I wrote with Vinny Falcone. And most people don't know Vinny's name, but he was the orchestra leader for Frank Sinatra for 15 years.
Wow.
So I was in Vegas. I was working the Sahara for Catch a Rising Star. And I was working, I used to call it the Shining Room, because everything was closed. So the buffet was closed and everything else. And you had to want to walk down this aisle, the hallway to get to the showroom because everything was shut down, right? But the guy that did the promotion for it was a guy named Norm Johnson, I believe his last name is. But a little guy, older guy, been old Vegas. And he and I befriended each other the 3 or 4 times that I played there because I would play like twice a year. And he's like, hey, I'm going to a lunch with Rich Little. His wife is getting a star on the Vegas Walk of Fame. And you want to come with me? Going to be some cool people there. And one of the people I sat next to was Vincent Falcone.
Vincent, I'm gonna write that down. Vincent Falcone. Guys, look him up. Falcone. Wow.
So Vinny, we just hit it off fast friends. First of all, everybody's in there dressed to the nines. It's a lunch. I walk in with a cowboy hat. Rich Little does about 10 minutes on stage, just about me wearing the stupid ass hat and the thing. And then he came up and he said, thanks for playing along. And then he introduced me but Vinny was so cool about the whole thing. And then we just kind of hit it off. And I'd written this song called What Makes a Man, right? And he's like, well, I love this thing. Will you send it to me? And so he played, he did the orchestration for it. And Vinny died, I guess, 2 years ago. And I can honestly say I did not like his version, but did not have the heart to possibly, because it was very, it was very, very Como kind of thing.
What makes a man a man?
It was. It was so it was not what I envisioned.
And how did you envision it? Like more of a kick-ass country song?
Yeah, just a kick-ass country, sad, where one of the parents died before it's all over, kind of thing. So which is true. So I actually wrote the song right after my mom passed away, right? I wrote it on the day after she passed away. And Vinny's mom had passed, so that's where we kind of had so he always kept up with my ambitions, and he kept telling me I should write and I should write. And then, here in Texas, there's such a big Texas music scene. but I couldn't get any of these Texas artists to write with me.
Mm.
You know, I actually even had a couple of guys go, you know, you tell jokes, stick to that. I don't tell jokes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I went to school playing drums, and I've been wanting to be in the music business since I was 5. That was my first love anyway.
Mm.
And then I started writing with a guy named Will Southern on the cruise ships. We wrote a song called 400 Horses that got a lot of folks to look at. And then we did the video, and then I put it at the end of my CMT special. And then he and I started writing more and more, but then it kind of fades out. And then COVID hits, you know, a couple of years later, 3 years later, 4 years.
I hear another song coming. COVID hits. What's up, guys? How you like the show so far? Pretty good, right? Kind of weird that I'm out here in the country with the chair next to me. But anyways, if you like this show and you want to help out, go to Cameo. I do birthday shout outs, anniversary shout outs, or if you just want to do a donation, go to DarrenCarter.com, PayPal, or Venmo at Darren Carter Comic. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah. It's, you know, and then I just happened before COVID hit, I happened to meet a guy named David Banning, who is a songwriter. And we happened to, and I wasn't even supposed to take the ship, but we were in South Carolina, and I told him that, you know, I've been writing some stuff with him and want to write. And we have a mutual friend, you know, here, and he lives in Dallas, even though this thing was going on in South Carolina. And he said, let's get together and start writing. And we started writing, and then I started taking on other writing partners and doing writing sessions. And then, you know, I try to get one session in a week. And then suddenly we wrote a couple of songs that people really, really liked. And then I got a call from my old manager and said that there's a publishing company that wants to publish your music and send over what you got and let them listen to it. And they loved, you know, 6 or 8 songs that I've written or co-written anyway. And here we are.
Wow. So that's awesome, man. Let me ask you this. So do you have to, you keep mentioning partners. Do you have to have a partner to write songs?
Well, I'm not good with melody. You know, I am a drummer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess I'm classified as a lyricist at this point, you know, and so I'll have it, the melody, but you know, I need somebody that really can produce that melody part. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then do you is it, so obviously, so they said send the song. So you wrote, you guys, you co-wrote these songs, you and your partner write the songs. And then did you have somebody record like a demo? And is that what your manager showed them?
So, well, like the one I just wrote was called At the End of the Day. And how that really came about was I was watching Meet the Depressed, right? Meet the Press. And so I'm watching that on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago. And it was just pissing me off, not left side or right side, just the fact that we don't seem to have grown-ups in the room ever making decisions, right? And I'm getting drawn into that circle like everybody else. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of here. And I have a loft that's above the detached garage and not the main house. And so I came up to play Red Dead Redemption, Darren. And just to blow off time. And I'm like, you got to do something productive, man. You cannot sit here and just play this stupid video game. And it was kind of snowing, first time in 2 years in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So I go outside, I look at my wife. She's in the main house and she's making chili, watching a show. And I said out loud, at the end of the day, it's just me and you. At the end of the day, if it's just me and you, we can get through all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, write that down. And 30 minutes later, I had a song, right?
Wow.
And it was kind of a Roger Miller kind of a feel to
I love that. I love that stuff. Yeah.
And it had I even had a whistle part in it and everything else. And I sent it to a guy that I've been writing with named Kyle Level, and a great melody guy. And he goes, well, I mean, you could go with this, and I think you're going to do okay, but I think you need to think about modernize the music of it. And I was like, go for it. And then, I mean, literally it went chunk, chunk, chunk.
And went from whistle to like auto tune. It's the end of the
Yeah, well,
day.
I'm not singing, thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's got a group in Nashville that can play the parts when he
Yeah.
sings it. And so we demoed it, I mean, in 10 days, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then suddenly my old manager he manages Colin Ray, right? And has for 20 years. But every time I sent him a song, he could always pick out something that he does not like about the song. So I sent him this one, and he calls me up and he goes, "You got one, kid. You got one."
Oh, cool.
And he said, I want to send this to some folks. And then suddenly, I can't say who, but there have been some big people listen to the song over the last 3 or 4 days. And it literally is 2 weeks old.
Yeah. Wow. That's really exciting. I'm gonna ask you like it's probably a simple question, but I really would like to know, when you write a song, is there a certain formula or structure that you use, or is it all over the place? I mean, because I think, you know what I mean, like 8 lines and then the hook, or what is there a formula that you like to use, or?
The formula, yeah, that I think most new songwriters like myself, you write a verse, a chorus, second verse, a chorus, a bridge, and then a chorus, right? And then as I've really taken on these writing sessions a lot, like I wrote a song with a guy named Bradley Banning called "Enjoy the Ride," and that starts out with the chorus, and then we go into a verse, and it doesn't have 2 verses. It just has this chunk that's kind of fun and enjoy the ride. And then bank fishing was, the first time I've written something that was with these guys that was that hick hop kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of fresh and that kind of stuff. And then I did a Christmas song with my comedy. So I laid out my comedy, and then we had just the chorus that was the hook to bring you back in. Look out, Santa, right, for a Christmas thing, and did it that way. So the more I write with more people, the more I'm exposed to all kinds of different ways. But writing is writing, and the main part is just do the work.
Yeah.
It's so funny because when we finished up this thing, Kyle sent it over to a guy that's got a lot of cuts on a lot of different albums. And he said, "Be honest with me. Tell me what, lay it out. Cause I think, we have one that can go somewhere." And he goes, "Well, first you haven't answered, you go straight into the girl, coming out of the first verse. And the first verse is, turn on the news. It's tragedy. How people act just baffles me. So much hate, disdain for one another, never take the time to listen to each other. But one thing's for sure," and he had love is the cure. And he said, "It needs to answer it," which I had said, by the way, I had said several times. It needs to say, "Your love is the cure." And then that guy said that. So he agreed with it, so that's in there. Then he said melodically, it has to balance out. And the third thing he said is, that there are a lot of people right now in Nashville writing songs like this that are already in front of you. And I told Kyle, I go, people will line up to tell you that you can't make something happen. They line up I know the odds, and that's what people need to realize. My favorite quote from any movie about the odds is from Dumb and Dumber.
What is it? Oh, please. I know what it is. Yeah.
So
tell the audience what it is.
So he looks at
I love this
woman of his affection, and he says, "What are the odds?" I think, or he says, "Do I have a shot?" She goes, "It's not very good." He goes, 1 in 100. She goes, 1 in a million. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
That's me.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Exactly.
Telling me there's a chance, and that's exactly what I feel about when it comes to.
Because if there's that line of people, I mean, that's okay. Because maybe some singers like, you know what, I'm going to go to the guys that are 7th and 8th in line. Let me, there's a chance,
Or maybe it's appealing to them that I have 500,000 followers myself.
Yeah.
maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not the songwriter that's getting all the, the stuff, doing the writings in the Nashville, but maybe they look and go, well, this guy, he's got an audience that he can also push. Maybe that's it.
I've never met him, but I know Rodney Carrington has written. I think he's written some songs, and I want to say he's written some stuff with Toby Keith.
Yeah, he wrote a movie with Toby.
No, yeah.
But exactly. I mean, who's to say? Who's it? But
right.
People will line up to tell you you can't.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. My son, he's 13 and he plays a bunch of instruments, plays music, loves music. He's immersed in it. And, for his YouTube channel, he wrote a little, Christmas country song. And it's great because now we filmed it and played it. Thank you. A local country DJ up in Fresno goes, hey, that's great. Would you guys want to do the show? And my son got to play it on the show. And I was like, wow, this is really a learning experience. And also I told my son, I said, this is great. I mean, you took up like 8 to 10 minutes of that quality radio time. I mean, artists would love to have that on a station, so
who's to say? I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
All I know is that if you don't do the work, it's never going to get done.
Yeah.
And right now, I constantly talk about. So my manager, I just let go of my manager. We came to a mutual agreement that I was going to go look for other management and other agents, and because right now, one of the things I learned in 7th grade basketball was I had a coach say, when the end of the game, they're going to show a stat sheet, and it's going to have the people who scored, and it have rebounds, maybe even block shots. I don't know how many of those there were in 7th grade. He said, but the only way that we win is what the other 4 people without the ball, what they did without the ball. That's the only way we win, is what you do without the ball. And, Darren, that's been my philosophy through this entire almost a year now, being not doing what we've normally been able to do. What am I going to do without the ball? So am I going to write? Am I going to, so I've been writing scripts and screenplays and music and really focused on what I can really focus on. And that's these skills. And then maybe one day somebody goes, Jesus Christ, why didn't we know that guy had all that in the beginning?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny you said that about Red Dead Redemption. Like I don't even play video games, but I catch myself. I've been trying to watch this documentary, and like today I had the day to myself pretty much, and I got about 14 minutes into it, and I'm like, what am I doing? I need to work on my own thing. And then I just, I just, but I'm not even saying that that's a bad thing, because I have friends that they immerse themselves with books and movies, and they make great podcast guests because they're like pop culture geeks. So, but for me personally, I'm like, I need to do something. Like right tonight, I'm like, I want to do a podcast. I want to have you on and talk to you about this.
Well, it's funny because I can literally spend 12 hours playing Red Dead Redemption. I can ride a fake horse when I can go to my uncle's house and ride a real horse.
Yeah.
So I have to draw myself out of that, and draw myself sometimes out of the pity party, which I threw a great one, Darren Carter. I threw a great pity party. I was knee deep in a bottle of tequila on Saturday night. And so,
you were the pity party starter.
Oh, the pity party starter.
Yeah. How great is that? How great is it to hear something that you've written sung by somebody who actually knows how to sing? I mean, it must be like, wow, that's so cool. Like when it hits, like.
It is the dream. I mean, that is the dream. The two things that I've always dreamed about since I was little, and the reason why I've tried to look at things as a blessing. The COVID thing, not cool. But for me, it's at least told me that I need to focus on the things that I wanted to accomplish since I was 5. And what I wanted, Darren, when I was 5, one is to write a song that people would sing ever since I was little, and the other, I want to write a movie that somebody will go watch. I've always imagined having my little ball cap pulled down to see if they laugh when I wanted them to and cried when I wanted them to, and that's been always the dream. But I haven't really pursued it, and really haven't gotten the right people after it. So come this January, I do a deal called the Bus Stop. A friend of mine, a very wealthy friend of mine, do you know the Bus Stop? People call it different things, but the Bus Stop is basically you pull up to the stop and you look on your bus and see who's helping you get down the road, see who's just riding on the bus, and who's breaking down your bus. And those that are just riding the bus and breaking down the bus, you got to figure out if you need to throw them off the bus. Find people who can get you down the road. So I did that evaluation in January because those are the two things that are important to me in my existence on the planet.
I'm gonna write that down. What's that called? The bus stop?
The Bus Stop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It makes it easy.
I guess that might have been one of those bus stop questions you asked yourself about your manager, I guess, right? Like
it was everybody. I'm happy to say the wife made the cut.
Yeah. The wheels on the bus go around. Hey, honey. Yeah, exactly.
Ding, ding. So she's on. But yeah, it was just, that part of it, man. You got to figure out at some point what's important, because if it's taught us anything, is that the brevity of life. And I think we all know it, but I think this just brought it all to the forefront for everybody. What's
interesting about music also, like I'll hear a great song and I'm like, oh, I love that song. And I'll look at the lyrics. I'm like, how does this even turn into a song? It looks like just a bunch of words that don't even, it's funny how a song can be like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. As a student of it, I'm like, how and why? And especially country music, it's like, you're not even writing to the hook.
Right.
But it sounded really good. So, you're having champagne on a beer budget. And what is that?
Let's think of some, there's some clever lyrics that are in country and also blues where I'm like, I gotta remember that. And sometimes I'll write it down because I'm like, I just love it. Like for some of the classics, like, Charlie Pride, kiss an angel good morning and love her like a devil when you get back home. I mean, I love that, right?
Yeah. It's
an angel good morning. The first time I heard,
he's also from Fort Worth.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Did you ever see him around town?
Yeah. I actually did one show with him, and a gracious guy, and kind of like the same thing with Blake Shelton. I walk into a Jiffy Lube to get my oil changed, and who's sitting there waiting to get his oil changed in a Mercedes. And as soon as I people were saying hi and leaving him alone, and I sat down and people kind of cleared out, and then he looked at me and he goes, "Cowboy Bill." I was like, "Oh no." Yeah, he goes, "You gave me a hard time," because it's true. I rode on a plane with him. I was in first class. I got bumped up for some reason, and he's up there, right? And it's funny that you say that song. So him and his wife, they were married forever, but they're in first class, and we're sitting there, and I'm catty cornered behind him, so I'm diagonal behind him, and his cell phone rings, and it's "Kiss an Angel Good Morning."
Oh.
Right? And so when I worked with him was like 2 years later, and I came up to him backstage and I go, "Hi, introduction." I go, "Let me ask you a question. Do you really need your own song on your ringtone?" Of all the people, and I told him, I go, "Of all the people in country music, don't you think you're recognized a little more than any?"
Yeah. That's hilarious. Did he ever say the story of why that song was on there? Maybe his daughter programmed it or somebody programmed it for him, or
no, we just laughed about, we laughed about the line and everything else, but I always thought it was odd that, Charlie Pride You know, maybe somebody's behind him going, I recognize that guy. Here's an angel. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, his wife is calling him just so people will recognize him.
Yeah, they gosh, there was a blues song I heard the other day, and I was like, I have to remember. It was something, I knew the word left and right were in there, like something like better start acting right, otherwise you're gonna get left, or something like that. And I was like, I gotta remember that. I gotta Google that. But I love the play on words with that happens a lot with country music.
Well, you know, that coming out of college, I wrote advertising. And then, you know, my first venture into show business was actually writing a book called Life on the Neon Moon, Now That She's Gone and Took the Dog With Her. Right, which read like stand up, but writing is writing. That's what I always tell these young comics too. Writing is writing, so just keep writing, man. And I feel like even my comedy has kind of stepped up over the last 2 years, 3 years, you know, to where I'm really willing to take chances. And this last year, getting to tour during COVID, I take a lot of chances on stories that I think are funny that I haven't ever explored, you know. So it's not as structured as I would normally do it up until this thing. So it's been great.
I was watching one of your bits today, and it was so funny. It was I think it's called Little Shadow, and it was about your son back when he was short and little, and it was great. Guys, go check that one out. That's, man. And there was some clever writing in there. Like you said, like, you know, you're going to teach them, like, you know, when it comes to like working with the wrench, like righty tighty, lefty loosey. And then now this is hilarious because I don't know much about electricity. And I kind of put together why it got a big laugh. But the thing you said, you go, my son knows the difference between 110 and 220. And that was like, man.
Yeah. So what's funny is I had, and thank you, by the way, but I had somebody send me a comment like, he doesn't know anything, you know, it's 115 and 225. And I sent him back a deal and I said, well, my son is 31 years old. When I wrote this bit 25 years ago, when it happened, it was a 110 and a 220.
Back in our day.
I'm sorry, I'm not updating and getting it to OSHA's specifications. But when I did it, that's what the wires were.
Yeah. I got to ask you a question. Does 110 mean you can actually get a little shock, but you'll be okay? And then 220s where it's like really bad, I would imagine.
No, it's actually the opposite. So a 220 will knock you off of it most of the time. But a 110, you'll grab a hold of it and it grab a hold of it. Yeah, that's the way I understand it. Now,
that's the one where they go you got to take a stick and like push somebody off of it or something. I heard like you can't. I mean, I don't know. They said you're not. My son is 13.
Well, let's try it out. Let's get him out here. Some exposed wires.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When you said that, I was like, yeah, that makes you think of like, you know, see now when we grew up, there wasn't really, I don't even really remember wearing seatbelts really, like, especially in the back seats. You know, maybe there was like a lap belt and then, you know, everything progresses, like the helmets, you know, I remember like Gary Busey got into an accident and didn't have a helmet on. And I think after that, they were like, we're going to have helmet laws. And I mean, it just became,
every law that we have is because somebody jacked it up the wrong way.
Yeah.
The deer crossing sign is not there to tell deer where to cross.
Yeah.
It's there because somebody hit a deer right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not there. You know, it's not like deer are walking down going, there it is. There it is.
Come on, guys. Come on. We're going to
every rule that we have is because some jackass didn't read the label.
Right. Yeah. I got a couple of questions for you. I like to ask my guests this. It's all about happiness. What is something that you've bought recently, spent a little money on? It could be any amount, it doesn't have to be huge, and that made you just a little bit happier. Or a semi-recent purchase that made you just a little bit happier.
Christmas time, my son, who's now 31, right, and he's married, he bought him a truck, right, pickup, and he was going to buy another Volkswagen GTI, His father talked him out of a truck. And then at Christmas time, he tried not to be the old man. He tried not to be this.
Yeah, yeah.
And at Christmas time, I got him a pair of boots that didn't fit right. So we go back and he has a gift certificate and whatever. So he buys this nice pair of ostrich boots that he loves. And the joy that I see, and then he went and bought him a cowboy hat, even though he'd grown up with it, but he didn't want to be that guy. And that little thing just, you know, it's kind of like if I get gone, at least I know he's going to be okay. You know, the righty tighty, the lefty loosey, and he finally, finally looks like a man.
Yeah. Now, when you wear a cowboy hat around Fort Worth, it's just like, you know, there's lots of them, I would imagine. Do you ever feel a little self-conscious when you get out of that zone, or no? Or you've just done it for so long, you're like,
no, it's I feel pretty comfortable with it, you know. And I do, Darren, I do have luscious hair. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but look at that. So,
dude, that's how you could go in disguise. Like if you take that off, people.
Well, this is normally my look there, and there's a hyena's cat.
Oh, it's cool.
So
That's a cool hat.
Most of the places I go, this is it. But because we're branding here on the interweb, I put on the hat. I got on the shorts. How about that?
Hey, so you're breaking the rules. When I was a kid, someone said, don't wear sneakers with a cowboy hat and don't wear glasses, but you got to wear glasses. What are you going to be, like the blind cowboy?
Yeah. Yeah, because now I can't. And here, you know, Texas time, it's almost 10 o'clock, so it's almost daddy's bedtime.
Exactly. You're wearing a bathrobe and a cowboy hat. Branding, damn it.
Well, sometimes I do that just for the old lady.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, it's funny. I asked you before we went on, I said, I was thinking about starting this, you know, I don't know, like asking my guests, hey, do you have your favorite street joke or your favorite joke? Because I've had a couple comics that have like gave them to me just on their own. And I thought that could be like a funny segment, but it's funny. I don't have a knack for remembering them. My previous guest didn't really either. And when I asked you that, I love your answer. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I usually don't listen to them. So
exactly.
I do know, I thought about it after you said it. Now, do you play golf?
I have played before, but I don't play regularly, but I have played.
My favorite joke is a golf joke, and it's also a religious joke. So there's a priest, a rabbi, a Baptist preacher, and a TV evangelist that all play together. And if you know the joke, you can stop me at any time, okay?
Please.
They all play together at this very exclusive course, and they get to play for free because they're part of the clergy, right? So they go out and they play the first 9. It goes by pretty quick. They get on 10, make the turn. On 11, they run into a group. And this group is forever playing. It's slow. They're yelling at them. They're hitting into them. Nothing makes these guys move on. 4 hours later, they come barreling into the clubhouse. And they go straight to the general manager and go, what the hell, dude, man? We were out on the back 9 for 4.5 hours. And he goes, oh, fellas, I'm so sorry. That group in front of us, in front of you, it's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation for grown-ups. You know, they're all dying. They're blind. We do this big fundraiser, you know, to bring them out just to play this course. And because it was y'all, I didn't think it was a big deal. And the priest says, you know, I'm going to call the cardinal and ask him, how do I absolve myself from the anger that I obviously have in my heart? The rabbi says, I'm going to talk to my congregation about having the patience that Moses had to lead our people through the desert for 40 years. The Baptist preacher said, I'm going to kneel in front of the cross and realize what Jesus has done for me. And the evangelist says, blind, can't they fucking play at night?
Yeah.
That's why I don't do them.
Yeah. But that was a good one. See, I hate when the joke goes so long and then you're just like, okay, what happened?
I love the guys that actually like Ronnie Bullard. Do you know old Ronnie Bullard? Been around for years.
I know his name, but I have never worked with him.
Ronnie is, you know, he was big and he loves jokes. And he's like, if you come up and try to stump me with a joke, I'll give you a CD or a DVD. I've yet to hear him not know the punchline to a joke. And I was never that guy. And he and I were on a ship together once, and when you do your separate shows, and he knows I hate him, knows I loathe them, right?
Yeah.
And he tells the audience, he goes, "Listen, I don't like the joke."
Yeah.
If you see Bill anywhere on this ship this week, go up and tell him your favorite joke.
Oh, no.
And I almost killed the little bastard.
That's awesome. In closing, I want to ask you, do you have any words of wisdom, something you've learned along the way in life that you could share with the listeners of the Pocket Party podcast?
I think what we've talked about, first of all, having a goal, having a dream without works is nothing. Okay. Just because you have the dream to have something in your life change, you have to have the works. You have to do the work. We're all going to come out of this COVID thing eventually, right? It's not going to be like this forever. And for you comics out there that love Darren and watching him, especially our friends in show business, I'm going to tell you right now, if you start working on your plan when they open up the country, you're going to be behind 5 months, everybody who's working now. Because I think when we do start opening in April and May, you better be ready to hit the floor running, because there are going to be people ready to go out there. And that's not the time to make your plan. So make your plan and then do the work. Because I think we lose that focus so much in this country that we just want things just to open up. And
yeah.
So what does that mean? But you have to do the work. And the harder you work, the luckier you're going to get.
Absolutely. That was very good. And before I let you go, because I was like, I got a real life songwriter here. I'm like, okay. So I'm a big fan of chess. I play chess, and a buddy of mine got a direct message from a top level golfer, and he goes, "Hey, I know you're big into chess. Do you have any suggestions?" And my friend told me what he told the professional golfer, and basically he said there's some YouTube tutorials he'd recommend. There's some an app, chess.com. They have some tutorials on there. He said, I don't recommend the books, even chess masters. A lot of times they're not, because, it's reading. You're like, I don't understand these numbers and the rank and the file. It's a little bit, not saying that the books aren't good, but that wasn't his first choice, especially for a newer person. How is it with songwriting? Do you recommend things other than the songwriting books, or?
I don't even recommend, I wouldn't, I didn't with comedy either. I know guys that take comedy classes and everything else. There are so many different songs and ways to get there, right? Who would have thought that Red Solo Cup would ever be a hit, right?
Yeah.
They played on the Red Solo
Cup.
I drink
I
you
fill
up.
you up. Let's have a party.
I would love to be at that pitch meeting. I would love to be at the pitch meeting when Willie Nelson came in and told his wife, listen, I wrote this song. I don't think you're going to like it. It's called On the Road Again. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. Life I love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road again.
Song, honey.
So my point is there's so many different ways of skinning that cat. That you just gotta, and it takes a while. And let's be honest, you're probably not going to hit it on your first one. The first, you're going to bug every one of your friends and say, "This is what I wrote," which I have done often. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. But you just got to write it, man. And I don't know if there is a formula. I didn't look up a formula. All I know is that I would get a tune in my head and then try to write it. And there's a chance that you can fail at it, but there's no chance of failure if you don't do it.
Yeah. And by the way, when you said there's more than one way to skin a cat, I read there's a new PC way to say it. There's more than one way to pet a cat.
Really?
Yeah. Look, this is, I just pulled this up. This has been around since the 1600s.
Oh my god. So
Yeah.
now we can't say skin a cat?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I saw this whole list that, I mean, I think
I
it might
don't
have
think
been, it might have been PETA. I mean, who, if I don't know who came up with it, but I mean, listen, it's
Darren, do me a favor.
Yeah.
I want you to, since you brought it up, I got to stop it here. So I want you to take 2 hands and put it around your own throat. And just choke yourself.
Guys.
Until,
yeah, don't ever release this podcast because the mob's gonna come after you. He knew it. No,
I know. I'd hate to tell him that this is made out of beaver.
Exactly. No cats were hurt in this
Beaver were definitely hurt in the making of felt. So
I know.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it is funny on both sides of it, the whole cancel culture. And but I had a buddy of mine. I was like, because we have a friend who's been around for 20 years, right? I go, did you block him on Facebook? And he goes, yeah, all he does is just post the liberal stuff, and I couldn't stand it. And I said, I thought you were opposed to censorship. You're very confusing on who you're censoring.
Yeah.
So we all have a filter, I guess, these days, but live and let live. A friend of mine sat here in the house today and said his new prayer is, whatever, amen.
No.
No. I think it's fantastic. It's like, whatever happens, thank you, Lord. Whatever happens, appreciate it. Whatever. I'm not getting upset.
That reminds me, this is not a joke, but it does remind me of that street joke formula. When this thing first happened back in March, I was on the road and a buddy of mine told me this. He goes, this reminds me of this story. And it was a story about during like the Civil War. There was somebody, I'm gonna mess it up, and I don't want to be one of those guys that messes up a long story. But basically, the old farmer was like, maybe, and then this and this and this happens, maybe, and then one more bad thing happened, and everything along the way, which you would think would be a bad thing, but it turned out it wasn't. Like his horse gets stolen, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, your horse got stolen." He's like, "Well, maybe it's a bad thing, but maybe." Turns out that horse made friends with other horses, and the horses come back, and So
and that's exactly what his prayer was. I thought it was so brilliant. One word, whatever.
Amen.
I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to go down rabbit holes of
things you can't control, right? Like I tried turning on the news tonight. I was driving. I listened to the news for about 5 minutes, and I'm like, what am I listening to this for? I need to I need to be happy. I need to go home. I need to get ready to talk with my buddy Bill. I can't sit here and
I know, and
right?
Nothing can change. There's nothing I can change in most of this other than try to be kind to each other and whatever. Amen. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And like this, like what you just said about the lockdown, it's like, of course we're all like, what? But now we're like, you know what, ever since you were a kid, you were like, I want to be a songwriter. Now's the time that, let's look at it like that. Like what's the positive that came out of all this? I got to spend more time with my family. I got to watch my son grow. Like I wasn't gone every weekend, or, what I mean? Little things like that you'll look back and be like, man, there was a lot of blessings,
I'm completely in there. My wife and I, we didn't know if we were going to really, really enjoy being around each other 7 days out of the week, and because our relationship is not built on me being home more than about 6 days out of the month. We joke all the time. I ruin a perfectly good marriage by coming home. On paper, we're awesome.
Yeah. Like I thought of that Willie Nelson song. He said, "On the road again." Like you're like, honey, I'm on the couch again.
Well, and it turned out she is the biggest supporter and my best friend. And we do enjoy each other's company. And me and the kids and the wife and friends, we've done board games and we've had conversations and we've laughed in the house. Things that I miss so much on the road on being by yourself. I haven't had one comic stab me in the back in 9 months.
That's
you know
right.
how big that is? Not to come in and hear, the whispers stop, because they were talking about you, because the opening act and the feature act are plotting on killing you so they can do the 45.
Yeah, exactly,
So
man.
it's just but I've tried to look at these things as, and I tell my audience all the time, once you take it out of being personal, when you realize it's not happening to you, it's just happening.
Yeah.
So like these
Yeah.
cats that are getting laid off in the pipeline. Once you realize it's not happening to you, it's just happening. That it's
Yeah.
not personal. That your name, they don't give a rat. They didn't give a rat's ass about you yesterday before they laid you off, and they certainly didn't give a rat's ass about you when they laid you off. You know, that's what's happening is just happening around you. And then once I took all that personal out
Yeah.
of it, I didn't have any animosity. I truly don't for the last 2 or 3 years now.
When you said laid off, it made me think of Johnny Paycheck. How great was that song?
Yeah.
Take this
You're a
job and
home, man.
shove it.
Yeah, I saw a clip of him yesterday, clean shaven, in the 50s or maybe 60s, clean shaven. All of his band is in a blue suit, and he was in a blue suit, tie, the whole thing, man. And I was like, who is this cat? He was singing the song A11, which was his first.
Oh, I love that song. I love it. With the song about A11, about the jukebox, and
You're the
that's
jukebox.
another thing we don't have anymore. Johnny Paycheck has a great song. It's another play on words, and we'll end on this. He has that song. I think it's called something like "I'm the only hell my mama ever raised."
Yeah, only hell that, yeah. They
I'm not
told
good
me
at-
not
yeah.
to smoke it, but I did, and it took me far away, and I turned
Yeah.
out to be the only hell my
My
mama
mama
ever
ever
raised.
raised.
And then it's got that great lick, bow, no, bow, no, boom, boom. Yeah, what a
Gosh,
great song.
so good, man. Gosh, you're doing it. You're doing it. Now when I hear songs, I'm going to hear one of your songs.
Well, I hope so. I really do. And you know, you're one of the easiest cats to do these. I've done several of these podcasts, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. I really enjoy always talking
Thank
to
you,
you.
my man. Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
we're planning on doing 30 minutes, and an hour flew by again.
It
And,
did. It did.
it
And
makes a difference in my life too.
hey, thank you. And when this is all said and done, man, hopefully we can hang out on the road or something, or it'll be, who knows?
Go to the
I'll start-
Grammys together.
Yeah, we'll go to the Grammys together. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be inspiration for you or something. I don't know. Like, hey, that's right, man. I'd say I'd be your writing partner, but I don't want to get kicked off that bus. Hey-o.
No, it might be, do you want to write? I mean, we can write.
Man, you know what? That'd be interesting. I have a friend that lives in Nashville, and every now and then I'll come up with a little idea, a germ of an idea, and I usually call him and go, "Hey, you want to work on this?" Or, but I mean, you're definitely more advanced than I am. He says, "Yeah," but he also, we don't really follow up. To be honest with you, it's just
That's what I thought. I could hear it. Yeah, that sounds great. That's what I got a long time. I forever. And I know we got to get off here, but I got that for a long time from guys. Yeah, we'll do that, and then never hear from them again. Find somebody who wants, in it, even if it goes nowhere. Do a writing session out there in California with somebody, and just sit down, especially somebody that can take and play the little.
Yeah, you know what? I think one of my songs an idea for a song. I felt really strong about it. I was all excited. I recorded little lines. Oh, that could be a line. That could be a line. And then when I laid it all out, then I told it to him. And then at the end of the conversation, I kind of was like, you know what? This doesn't even sound like. I basically started crapping on my own idea. I was like, this sounds more like a South Park sketch. Like this isn't even.
So you did a parody of your own song. That's
exactly.
For a song that doesn't exist.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, seriously. It went from beginning to end, and then I just buried it. It was during the time of the California drought. So there's all this drought, and there was towns that didn't have water, and they're digging in the wells, and there's no water there. I mean, it was a really big deal, like Porterville. And I mean, just imagine you're a town, you turn the faucet, there's no water. And so I had this idea of people's tears or something, like all the sadness in their tears is what's bringing the plants back. But then it turned, it went from being to man, this sounds like like something you'd see on South Park. And then our tears made the cotton grow. I mean, or just, I gave up on it.
Our jobs.
Exactly. It turned into that. So I don't know. You can have it if you want. That's okay.
Well, I got it jotted. Hang on, let me jot it down.
My tears made the floods come. Yeah. Beta male. He's a beta male cowboy. I don't know. But yeah, you know, and then plus like that drought only lasted a year or whatever, to my knowledge, because now there's like, you know, then it whatever. It was a timely song.
But don't write like even with the COVID thing, I didn't write to the COVID thing. At the end of the day, I wrote it so it will fit next year. Because as I tell folks, just because we get out of COVID, there's a good chance you're going to go through a bunch of crap alone without, you know, 330 million Americans going through it with you.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be a sickness or a layoff or any of those other things. So you know, that's why I've never written my comedy act to the cowboy hat. I've never tried to be a country comic because I want that stuff to work in New York and LA like it does in Texas and in Alabama or you know, the Midwest.
Yeah.
But the same thing with songwriting. I want the song to stand up now as well. You know, I'm not writing to the 9/11 tragedy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Plus you don't want to write a song. It's like, you know how we talk about jokes that are evergreen or ideas that are evergreen. I wouldn't want to have a song where I'm like, man, I hope this drought lasts a little longer because we're about to release this song. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, then it rains, like, damn it. Exactly. You know, damn it, God, you ruined my song. Like, but anyways, yeah.
You know, Tanya Tucker used to have a great song about the rain. Stand back, non-believers, or the rain will never fall. It's about a guy that comes in and he's like you know, one of these preachers, and step back, non-believers, the rain will never.
I like that.
Somebody keep that fire going. Somebody beat the drum.
Ooh.
You know? But it's all about stopping the drought. Now that there's a case that you don't have to pray that the drought continues and people continue to lose their lives and their jobs just so your song goes up Billboard.
I know, right? How selfish. Like,
I know. I finally got a break, Lord, and you ruined it.
You ruined it with your rain, God. Dang it. No. Yeah. Tom T. Hall they call him the storyteller for a reason. I love Tom T. Hall, old country music. Just that guy he had a song where he basically goes into a town like Holler or something and nothing really happens. And then at the end of the song, he's like, that's the song I wrote that day and nothing really happened. But you're like, wow, actually you wrote a whole song about nothing happening. That's pretty good.
As a comic, listen to his song, The Homecoming.
Oh, I love that song where the girl's out in the car and she still has the dress on and he's visiting his dad and he's like, hey, I did it. And he right where he took too long in between visiting his folks. And he's like, I know mom died and it's, you know, he had dad. And I
didn't call. Sorry, I didn't write. I know. She's a chick I picked up, you know, she's a fan.
Wow.
We got to play tomorrow and that hits home. But he's a hell of a songwriter.
He wrote a song. He used to work at a funeral, like a cemetery, and that's where he came up with the idea of the man still owes me $40. It was about you know, a guy that died, and because they said that him and the other groundskeepers were just kind of talking like they do, like, I wonder who's going to get that new truck, and you know, and what if the guy owed somebody $40, and that kind of talk, and he thought, man, that'd be a good song, and so he kind of wrote it, and you know, just you know, but anyways. Hey, it was great talking to you, man. And please come on again and say hi to everybody. And I'll catch you later. Thank you.
All right, pal. Thanks so much.
We're done with this interview.